Hello and welcome to another Doctor Who figure review. Yes, it's that time of year again where B&M bombard us with some Doctor Who figures. But this year it's been a little bit different in the form of the distribution for these sets have been just an absolute nightmare. Trying to track down these figure sets in general is just a nightmare. Not only that, we've had scalpers buying these in bulk and selling them for ridiculous prices. If you thought the Big Finish vinyls were bad, then check out the prices that TARDIS has been selling. Some of them have been selling for £500, £200, even £1,000. And it's taken me about 5 or 6 days to get these, ringing many B&M stores across my area to try and get these. And obviously I've done it, which I'm so happy to have these. And that explains why the review is a little bit later than usual, because my area has just been incredibly slow getting these because of just the distribution. So in this instalment of the B&M reviews, I'll be looking at the third Doctor and TARDIS. I'll be looking at the packaging, doing a comparison of the third Doctor figure, because there is a slight difference to this figure and on the paint apps on the jacket, which I will explain when comparing it to the Three Doctors one. And I will also be comparing this TARDIS to the fourth Doctor one and talking about screen accuracy, that type of thing. And obviously doing articulation, detail, all that kind of stuff. So taking a look at the packaging, we have the traditional collector's series packaging, what we've all grown to know over the past 3 years, with the Cosmos and the Diamond motif there. 5+ with the scale of the figures, collector's series, the old John Pertwee, Paul McGann logo, what the set is, with opening doors and the figures displayed rather nicely in the window box. On the other side now we have the Doctor Who logo there, again displaying the figures rather nicely. You can see the side of John Pertwee and the TARDIS there, and again what the set is. Taking a look at the back of this box now, we have the Doctor Who logo there, we have the prototype image of the set with opening doors, a scale again. So if you want to read the bio on the TARDIS, then do feel free to pause. And the final side, again we have the Cosmos Diamond motif, again with a production image of the third Doctor there. So if we start off with the third Doctor figure with articulation. So kicking off with head articulation, the head can move side to side. The arms can do a full 360-degree turn. We do have bicep articulation, what can do a full 360 degrees. Bend at the elbow. Wrist articulation. We do have waist articulation, which can move slightly but is hindered by the legs jacket. Are on a T-crotch joint, so they can kick out and move side to side, but are hindered again by the jacket. We have thigh articulation, which can do the full 360-degree turn and bend at the knee. Right, so before I go into detail, I want to talk about the elephant within the room. Yes, I'm talking about you, Mr. Cravat. Now, this figure is based from the Time Monster. And if you've seen the Time Monster, you know that the third Doctor had no bow tie, no cravat, and no type of necktie whatsoever. It was more of the casual look the third Doctor had, where he basically had the shirt unbuttoned and just, you know, that kind of look he had. I've seen some people say that, you know, this is Curse of Paladin. I can see why they say that, but the only difference between the Curse of Paladin and the Time Monster is that he wore a waistcoat in the Curse of Paladin. And if you see the production photos or the promos for Day of the Daleks, you can see the waistcoat there because he was recording the Curse of Paladin while those photos were done. That's just me being an absolute Pertwee geek. So when they released the images of the set, they released a prototype image of the third Doctor with the open collar, that using the fourth Doctor regeneration body. So it's like, great, we're going to see a bit more of an interesting third Doctor variant without the bow tie and cravat. And then later on in the day, they released this image, the one you see on the back of the box. I was like, okay, we might get some variant to the third Doctor like they did with the Sontaran last year. With the different insignia, and that frustrates me. So enter my custom Planet of the Spiders third Doctor, and this is essentially what the figure should have, this type of shirt piece. You know, it's not exactly how it was in the Time Monster, but it's a lot more closer to what that is. Now basically the third Doctor head is a plug, meaning you cannot remove the head. So what character options should have really done is either hollowed out, removed the plug. If I do so, if they removed that section and then plugged the third Doctor head in, or just hollowed out the third Doctor head and then just put the third Doctor head on the body and then painted it in the Time Monster colour scheme, and then that would be a bit more of an interesting third Doctor variant to have on your shelf. And I think that would and I think by doing that we'd have some more interesting third Doctor variant costumes. You know, we would have the third Doctor from the 5 Doctors. That would be very exciting. You know, Terror of the Autons, Day of the Daleks. It would make for some more interesting third Doctor variants. You know, more of that casual, smart third Doctor look, which we all know. And they still can do that paint scheme on the third Doctor. Like I said earlier, they could do the Curse of Paladin third Doctor, because you can just about see that bit of black there is a waistcoat. So they could market this as a Curse of Paladin third Doctor, give him the tartan cloak, and that would be lovely. So we could still see a rough approximation of what the Time Monster figure should be. But alas, no, we haven't seen that yet, and one day I do hope that we get a Third Doctor figure with the more
So it does feel a
little bit strange that they can do a new waistcoat for the Fourth Doctor and the Talons of Wayne Chiang, yet they can't be bothered to hollow out a head. Very interesting. Rant over. Apologies about that, but just because the Third Doctor is my Doctor, I'm very pedantic and very picky, because I want to see John at his finest and correct. So detail wise, if you have the Sea Devil Third Doctor figure or the Planet of the Daleks Third Doctor, then you basically know what you're getting with this figure. Obviously it is a different paint app to represent the Time Monster, so let's look at taking a look at the details. So the paint apps on the face are exactly the same as what we saw on the 13 Doctors 3 Doctors variant of the Third Doctor. That's quite a mouthful. So the hair is done extremely well. I feel like Character Options have really grasped how to do the Third Doctor hair now. So we have the white base coat, and then we have some different grey washes over the hair to give it that sense of depth and texture. As you can see, all the individual curls and strands there. It's just done extremely well. I really do like the Third Doctor hair because I feel like they are really grasping how magnificent Pertwee's bouffant is there. We've got the sideburns sculpted there, which is rather nice. You can just get there, you can see the different sort of hair strands painted there. It's just done rather well. So taking a look at the face sculpt itself, you can definitely tell that it is Jon Pertwee. Yeah, I feel like the paint apps are a lot thinner on this Third Doctor because you can really start to see some of the cragginess of John's face. You know, you get the cheekbones there, the little lines there, which is done rather nice, sort of wrinkles on his forehead. It's just done rather nice. But the one thing what I'm not really a fan of, and this is the same as the 3 Doctors variant of the Third Doctor, is the lips are grey, which is rather strange. Taking a look at the jacket now, the jacket sculpt is correct, even though the back collar here, the ridge section there, should be pointing up. Even though you didn't see it in the episode because Pertwee had his shirt hiding that because he had the collars overflowing onto the lapels. But obviously that would mean resculpting, so I think that it's fine as it is. Again, we have the nice black trim going all the way down on the jacket and continues on the back of the lapels there. I've seen a few dodgy paint apps for this, but moving down to the shirt, we have the cravat. I've seen a lot of people say, why didn't they paint it black? I'm quite glad that they just kept it white, just because it would make it even more inaccurate if it was painted black, and just a really odd variant. Again, we have the frills just poking out there. It's a lot more fainter on this figure actually. We've got the button sculpted there, and again we have the pocket sculpted there. Moving down to the bottom of the jacket now, we have the frog clasp fastenings there, which we have the correct number, but they should start a little bit higher. They should end about there where my finger is, so they should just be a little bit higher. So if that one was just a tad higher, it will be correct, but you know, just a little tiny detail. Again, we have a crease. We have a seam of the jacket where it is fitted. We have the pocket sculpted there rather nicely. Moving down to the back, again we have the seams running across the jacket with that crease detailing there, and we have again the black piping detail. The arms, again we have the creases to give that lifelike effect, and we do have the buttons painted there. And of course, in the Time Monster and the 3 Doctors, I think, and the Curse of Paladin, the cuffs of John's shirt did poke out of there, so it was kind of this weird thing, but I can see why they didn't do it because it was a cost reason. Again, black trim along there. I did have a quality control issue there. You can see the white paint has gone onto the jacket, but it's only minor. Again, shirt's done rather nicely. You can see the individual frills sculpted there, which is done really nicely. The trousers are this sort of greyish brown, which are done rather nicely. Again, the standard creasing detail there, and we have the seam of the trousers there, and the nice Chelsea boots sculpted there, which is done rather nicely. Comparison with the 3 Doctors, 3rd Doctor. As you can see, the jacket is a lot more lighter on the B&M set, which is a bit interesting. It looks a bit more orangey, which is a bit more closer to how it was on TV, but it's one of those weird figures where, depending what light you get it in, it does alternate what colour. Sometimes it looks red, sometimes it looks orange, and it's very much like how it was in the TV show. Sometimes it looks orange, brown, red. It's one of those odd jackets where you can't really pinpoint the colour, but it is meant to be orange. This is a bit more of a reddy orange, whereas this a bit more brighter orange. But yeah, the trousers are a little bit different. They're a bit more lighter than the 13 Doctors one. But yeah, that's the only real difference. The paint apps, like I said, are pretty much the same. But yeah, very nice. So the 3rd Doctor comes with no accessories, but if you got the Time Monster set back in 2011 with the Roger Delgado figure and his TARDIS, he did come with this little time sensor used within the Time Monster, which after 7 years I can finally do this and give him the lovely time sensor, which could hopefully just go in his hand. So there we go, nice complete look. And of course in 2016 we did get the Time Monster variant of Joe, so there we have a nice little pairing there of the Doctor, Joe, so moving on to the TARDIS now. Essentially this TARDIS is a repaint of the 4th Doctor TARDIS, which I will do a comparison at the end once I've finished talking about the TARDIS. Now I've seen people say that this TARDIS feels incredibly cheap, and I think that it's down to two things. One is it having no electronics, so it doesn't have that weight behind it, even though there is a little bit of weight because obviously the door mechanism. But the other reason I feel the TARDIS feels a bit cheap is because of the paint apps. Now if you have the TARDIS feels very chalky. I think that's the best way to describe it. I mean, I might be sounding incredibly odd. If you don't have this TARDIS, then you don't really understand what I'm going on about, but it does have this chalk like texture to it. So I'm going to talk about the prop history of the actual TARDIS in the show. I'm not trying to be Clayton Hickman, because Clayton Hickman knows everything about the TARDIS. I'm just using the bit of knowledge I have on the TARDIS and screen grabs from the Time Monster. So this TARDIS was used from the very first episode, Unearthly Child, right up until the Seeds of Doom, where it collapsed on Elizabeth Slade. And obviously the TARDIS, you know, changed throughout those years. You know, obviously the roof got lower, etc. But at the time when John Pertwee came around, the TARDIS was a bit rackety. You know, when the 3rd Doctor first appeared and he falls out the TARDIS into the heather, you know, the TARDIS does shake a little bit. And obviously, in Spared from Space, it's put on a black plinth to make it seem a little bit more secure and a bit more solid. But when you get to Series 8, or Season 8, you really get to see how battered and how worn out the TARDIS is. You know, you've just got to look at the Claws of Axos, you know, when in Part 4, you know, when the 3rd Doctor arrives back from the time loop, you just see how, you know, damaged and battered the TARDIS actually is. And obviously when they arrive in Colin in Space, you know, when the wind blows, the TARDIS does shake a little bit. So when Season 9 rolled around, the TARDIS became a more vivid blue, and I guess they tried to make it seem a bit more secure and stable, and the sign on the door did change from a blue to a black background. So moving on to the detail now, I'm just going to state this now. This is a review of my TARDIS. Because each TARDIS, what they've done is very unique. I've seen some TARDISes with a load of weathering. I've seen some TARDISes with no weathering at all. It really does vary. So, you know, it's one of those things you can't really be picky because they're quite scarce about at this moment in time of recording. But I will say this, I think my TARDIS has just the right amount of weathering because it really does reflect the on-screen prop, because it was a little bit battered. Now before I go into the detail, I just want to point this out, and I'm going to stress this point. I will be talking about the screen accuracy of this TARDIS, but to be honest, the screen accuracy for this TARDIS doesn't bother me. I'm just going to point out what the differences are, because at the end of the day, as long as we have an approximation of what the TARDIS should be, because you can definitely tell it's a TARDIS, and you can definitely tell it's a 3rd Doctor TARDIS because of the colour scheme. It's just that, you know, character options are doing the best what they have, the best to their abilities, and I'm absolutely fine with that, because character options this year have done a lot of kit bashing for figures, you know, with Bill being a primeval figure. You know, they've done it with Scarleone and the Roboman, so this isn't a new thing for character options, and I'm all for character options using existing figures to make new figures. And if it, you know, they've just repainted a TARDIS, that's absolutely fine, because at the end of the day, it's another classic TARDIS, and for many people, taking a look at the roof, the roof is a little bit wrong. The top of the roof should be completely smooth. It shouldn't have the wood grain detailing. But I'm absolutely fine with it, because at the end of the day, character using what they've got and using it to their best of abilities. And to be honest, I think it gives the TARDIS a bit more character with the wood grain look, as you can see there with the nice black wash, what really does highlight the wood grain detailing. Because this TARDIS is non-electronic, we have no little LED bulb sculpted in the lantern housing. The top of the lantern is correct, it is this black colour in the episode. Now where the light would be in the actual TARDIS, the Perspex tube should be a little bit higher. But because, you know, they're using the 4th Doctor sculpt, you know, they're just using the best what they have. Moving down to the roof, we can see the one stack there, which is done rather nicely. And moving down, we have the wood grain effect on the sign of the TARDIS. Now, the front of the TARDIS should not have the police box insignia, and this sign should be the closest the TARDIS has to the police box sign. And on the other side, that should be completely white. But what character options have done is they've given it a bit of a black wash. Hopefully it comes across on screen, but it is a little bit faded, which I quite like, because obviously I think the TARDIS would look a bit strange not having the police box insignia, so I'm glad that character options kept that, even though it's inaccurate. But I just do quite like it, and I like that they've tried to give it that worn black wash over it, which they've done throughout the TARDIS. You can see there, you can just about see the black wash on the TARDIS there. Moving to the top of the doors, the TARDIS would have two little pins there what would secure the doors in place, which is fine. It's just a little detail there, but it's absolutely fine. The windows on the TARDIS from the Time Monster are black, but again, much like the sign detail, what they've done there, they've given it a bit of a black wash, and I must admit, I do prefer the windows to be clear, just to give it that, you know, makes it feel more alive. And I think because the TARDIS is a bright blue, it would look very odd having, you know, black windows. So yeah, I prefer that, and plus you wouldn't get the detailing of the frosted windows effect there, which is done rather nicely. The door panel is correct, it has the, you know, right text on it, and again it has that wash over it to give it that worn look on it. Again, we have the door handle sculpted there and the lock. So moving down to the actual TARDIS doors, you can see the wood grain detailing on there and the different sort of paint slops there, because the TARDIS props in the classic series did have a bit of a lumpy paint app there, and obviously you can see the different weathering marks, which really does highlight the wood grain detailing, which is done rather nicely. You can see all the different weathering details on the panels there, just to give it that more well-travelled look the TARDIS has, and I think that just makes the TARDIS come alive really, because it shows that this TARDIS has been on many adventures with the Doctor. You can see you've got lighter elements there, which is just done rather nicely. So if we move to the other side, again we continue that sort of wood grain detailing all across the TARDIS with the different paint apps there. You can see the different paint bubbles there, which is very reminiscent of the actual prop there. Again, the windows have this sort of grey black wash over there to give that sort of worn out look, which again I really do like. Back we have the speaker compartment, and obviously the battery compartment. Obviously this is TARDIS, is non-electronic, it doesn't have any sound effects. The only feature it has, and that's absolutely fine, because character options didn't fill the holes in for the 11th Doctor TARDIS in the adventure set they did back in 2010. And they did the same with the battery compartment, so it's not too noticeable, because at the end of the day you're going to display the TARDIS at the front, not the back. So the other side, again we continue that weathering detail there, again continuing the wood grain look, and like I said, the sign detail, you can really see the black wash on there just about, very faintly, but yeah, it's done rather nice. So if we move down to the bottom, which is the black base. Now the black base has two variants in the Time Monster. One in the photo you can see now is the black base, which was used for studio recording and was used in season 17, you can see there, and also it was last used in Black Orchid. But then on location we have the traditional blue base, which is rather odd. Now I was worried about the black base, because obviously the Pertwee TARDIS is this very vibrant, vivid blue. But I'm glad that character options went for the more weathered look, because obviously they've toned down the blue a bit by weathering it up. You know, it doesn't clash as much as I thought it would with the base, and it certainly is quite a striking piece when you put it up against the TARDISes, which I will do now. So there you have the classic TARDIS lineup so far. Hopefully one day we will have all the classic TARDISes, which will be absolutely amazing, but you can really see the difference in the colour blue and differences between the 4th Doctor TARDIS and the 3rd Doctor TARDIS. Obviously it's the same sculpt, but it's just amazing how different paint apps can bring the sculpt to life and make it seem completely different, which is very nice and very exciting. So we've got the 1st Doctor, 3rd Doctor, 4th Doctor and 7th Doctor TARDIS there, which is very nice, and hopefully, like I said, we'll have all the classic Doctor TARDISes together. And I've got to say, the 3rd Doctor TARDIS does look rather nice when they're all lined up. So yeah, very nice. So taking a look at the main feature of this TARDIS, the doors open. So if we open it up, so that door is hinged, it is spring loaded, and this door has no fastening. As you can see, that one is locked into place, and as you can see inside the TARDIS, you can see the really vibrant blue there, and obviously it has no backdrop, because the TARDIS prop back in the classic series didn't have one. So yeah, that's very nice. And if you want to close the doors, you just simply close that door first, and then down below you can see this square. By pressing that, it closes the door. So again, very nice feature. And so what are my concluding thoughts on the 3rd Doctor and TARDIS? Well, you may have noticed I've been very nitpicky in forms of the screen accuracy, but that doesn't reflect my true opinion, because honestly I absolutely love this set. For many people this is their first classic TARDIS, so damn right they should be excited. And to be honest, I'm incredibly happy, because it's my Doctor and his TARDIS. It's absolutely beautiful. You know, I feel like character options did a wonderful job with the materials what they had. You can definitely tell it's for the 3rd Doctor, because it's in that vivid blue, because it is a nice approximation of what the 3rd Doctor TARDIS should be with them using existing material. So I'm all for it, I love it, and obviously to finally have a 3rd Doctor figure with the time sensor, it just completes that look. and obviously we do have the Time Monster Joe Grant, so it does really make a nice little trio there. It's just absolutely beautiful. Obviously the Third Doctor is my mate, where the main problem is with the cravat, but hopefully one day character options will do the open collar shirt variant of the Third Doctor, because it would just make something a bit more interesting, make the Third Doctor figures pop a little bit more and give us something a little bit different, instead of seeing a cravat or bow tie variant of the Third Doctor. We could have seen the Third Doctor from Frontier in Space, that would be a lovely variant, or we could have seen the Third Doctor from the Mutants or the Daemons, but I think they probably didn't do that because of how close the jacket colour is to the talent of Weng Chiang and Tom Baker. But overall, this set gets a massive thumbs up because it's the Third Doctor, it's brilliant. But yeah, definitely track it down, don't succumb to scalpers, because, you know, they are the scum of the earth. So yes, thank you very much for watching this review. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.